Looking at a very critical topic, which is indeed a major concern to a lot of Nigerians, talking about food inflation. The federal government and, of course, the 36th state of the federation, they have launched a joint action to address food inflation. What do they intend to do? It is a question that we seek to get some of the answers to it on the program today. We also look at the inflation numbers in very few states. We look at the top 10 states with inflation numbers there. It's a very huge one. Borno State is leading them there. We also have the state like, of course, Bayelsa is also there as well. Let's quickly look at those numbers there before we begin the analysis. When I bring on my guests, we have Borno State there as number one. Food inflation 64.4%, and the all-time is high that we had before now was 38.9%. It's a very huge number, followed by Bayelsa State. Bayelsa State followed closely, not so close, the distant second, 39.8%. Down there, of course, 23%. That was the all-time it had before. Taraba State is down there as well, 38.6%. 26.5% was the all-time high it has ever had. Niger State, the largest state in Nigeria by landmass, is also up there as well, 30.3%. 35.0% was an all-time high that it has ever experienced. Sokoto State is also there as well, 27.6%. Of course, the all-time high we've ever had in Sokoto State is 18.5%. Cross River State is not left out, 26.3%. 26.1% was an all-time high we have experienced ever in Cross River State. Of course, the FCT Abuja here is not left out, 26.7%. 31.1% was an all-time high we have ever experienced. Ogun State is also there, 26.5%. 23.4%. Kogi State is there, 26.5%. 25.2%. And of course, Ebonyi State, the only state in the southeastern Nigeria that is among the top 10 in terms of high inflation number, food inflation especially, is Ebonyi State, 25.9%. 24.3% is the only all-time high that we have ever experienced in Ebonyi State. Let me introduce my guest, who is an agriculture expert, Dr. Ayodeji Ajisefinni. Is an agribusiness expert and also chairman, Enterprise Grooming Institute. Glad to have you here on Business Daily again today. Thank you so much for always oblige us anytime we reach out to you.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much. You saw those states there. Your own state is not part of them there. How do you feel about that?
Well, we are trying to do the right thing and add value to whatever we produce to reduce unemployment, to reduce make the purchasing power of our people comes down little by little. Instead of producing and selling it raw, we add value to it, make it avoidable to the people. It is the excess there that we now say, okay, let's move out of the country. out of the states.
Indeed. So you're more concerned about developing the value chain.
Exactly.
Absolutely, which is very impressive. Let's start with the Borno State. I'm worried. 64.4% is a very huge number. Borno State is known for producing millet, sorghum, maize, rice, guinea corn, and of course sweet potatoes. And we're having this magnitude despite the surge that we saw in production. Does it seem that access to farmland or even access to some of these crops is a major concern?
The major concern in Borno that happens to be an agricultural based state is the issue of the insecurity. How many farmers are there again to go to farm? Is the farm, are they safe to go back to farm? The little that comes out of the place, what do they do with it? There are some big people that will finance the little farmers that are there, and they offtake the whole thing to another state. And within the state, what value do they add to their product? Look at millet, look at potato, look at rice. Do we have any industrial area in Borno that is adding value to all these products and they move it, the finished product? The major reason that I think personally about the high inflation in Borno is the issue of insecurity and non-industrialization of agri-sector.
Indeed, insecurity is indeed a major concern there. What do you think can be done? There seems to be a lot of disruption to trade, to a lot of activities. We've seen, the government has done so much to address the issue of insecurity. It doesn't seem like it's going away, because Borno State, in terms of a land border, a share border with Cameroon, and of course a part of Chad. This is a very good, strategic location, and of course Niger as well, strategic location. What do you think can be done to facilitate trade along that borderline? How much of cooperation do you think we need to have with our neighbors for us to be able to deal with this insecurity that's hampering the revenue generation, especially for Borno State government? They can actually make quite a whole lot from
Borno
food
is a
production.
place that their inflationary rate should be less than 10%, because they are very close to borders. Majority of the people in Nigeria are producing and moving it through the border to other states, to other countries. What I think about the solution of insecurity in Nigeria generally is for us to come back to our traditional rulers. Localize this issue. In every ward, on every street, when the stranger enter, we know the strangers. How do we now move and tell the strangers, why are you here? Majority of the people may know the stranger, but because of what has been happening in Nigeria, whereby you make a report that this person is living here, and the next target is that particular person, makes so many people not to feel free to say, we are suspecting this. Because the suspect will now become the
antagonist.
At the end of the day. And people will now be living in fear. If I should make noise, I will be the next victim. If this can be sorted out and we remove politics from all the things we are doing in Nigeria, it's like even the aspect of food security, politics is into it. This issue of insecurity in Nigeria is being politicalized.
Indeed.
If we can try and remove politics and let governance exist within the street, from the street to the ward, from the ward to local government, I believe it will be an easy task for the state government to tackle. But where there is no cooperation at the grand level, at the grassroots level, it's difficult.
It is difficult. I agree with you. Let's move on and look at Bayelsa State. Bayelsa State food inflation is at 39.8%. It's also huge. That is from one end of the country to the other. There you see, if you look at the major crops that is being produced in Bayelsa State, plantain, cassava, rice, yam, garden egg, pepper, banana, cocoyam. Of course, the supply chain and high dependence on food import from other regions could be contributing to this steep rise. Do you think so?
The issue in Bayelsa State is, one, their area is covered with water. They don't have the potential.
The land space is very small.
And most of the farmers there are not producing at a commercial level. The major thing in this water area is fish farming. And some of what they consume in Bayelsa is not produced in Bayelsa.
They come from neighboring Delta State, River State.
Yes, because
Imo State
look
as
at
well.
it, plantain. Are they making plantain to be a commercial business? Yam, is it at commercial level? The rice we are talking about, is it at commercial level? These are small other farmers that are practicing it. And how many value addition or industries do we have in that state that is adding value to that same plantain, that can convert plantain to plantain flour?
That's a very big question there. I think the only person that can answer that question is the government of Bayelsa State. Moving on now from Bayelsa State, another state that is here is another northern state, eastern state, Taraba State, which posted about 38.6% food inflation in the month of May compared to 20.3% in April. The difference of 18.3%. That is a very wide margin, if you ask me. The crop that we produce in this state include cassava, plantain, yam, millet, beans, rice, and of course Irish potatoes. Issue of logistics is a major concern in Taraba State.
Not only logistics. Do we do agribusiness or we do agriculture? And you know they are just getting out, if at all they have. The issue of insecurity affects Taraba State too. And this climate issue, how are they dealing with it?
Climate change.
Yes. Are they into all year season farming, or they are into seasonal farming? There are so many factors that can lead to all this. Where you are supposed to get 20 tons, you are getting 5 tons. What do you expect? The population is greater than the production. How do you now feed the remaining? The one you will bring from outside may be cheaper than the one you are producing. And people that brought in those ones from outside the state, we want to monopolize it and make abnormal profit out of it. It's a challenge to the state to look inward. What can we do? How can we do it better? How can we entice private sectors? Because all these things we are talking about is not only for government. It's not government that will go on farm. How can we improve and encourage our stakeholders, our smallholder farmers, to be more in commercial production? How can we sustain and support them?
Do you think the support from the federal government is trickling down to, to some of these smallholders somehow? You deal with them physically?
Yes, truth be told, the support from federal government does not 100%. Maybe the 20% of it comes to the smallholder farmers, who are the real producer of what we consume. And the way it comes is a way that it may not come when it is needed. When there is time for planting, there is period for fertilizing the land, there is period for application of pesticide and insecticide. Most of these inputs.
So what you're saying is that most of the inputs come late to farmers. I've had concern about this issue before when I had some engagement with some farmers who told me that the inputs they were supposed to get us at April or May came in, I think sometime last year, came in around August or thereabout.
Yes.
That the input was coming so late. How do we address this gap? What is the Ministry of Agriculture and some other agencies in that regard doing?
Thank you very much. This is the time we need to buckle up our boots and say it the way it should be done. Ministry of Agri are trying their best, yes, but bureaucratic system.
Or the minister is perhaps, overwhelmed.
It's not the issue of the minister being overwhelmed. He can only do the policy formation. He will not be the person that will implement. I think the best thing for us in Nigeria to increase and improve our food insecurity is to curate, especially for public sector, to curate an agency, a private-driven agency, that we have a mandate that at so time, you have to get this ready and you have to get it to the right person. If any failure comes, your MD will be in for it. Look at what is happening in Niger State. They have a separate entity, a going concern for food security.
All right, let's go to Niger State now and see what is food inflation rate in Niger State. 30.3%. Niger State, a modest rise of 6%, you would say, which is at least if you compare to what they had in the month of April. They're a good producer of yam as well, cassava, sorghum, and rice. And of course, the increase may reflect seasonal variation in food availability or pressure from nearby markets. Are they supplying so much? Yeah, from Kwara State. Niger State share common boundary with Kwara State. Don't forget, Niger State, in terms of land mass, is as big as Belgium and France put together.
Yes,
in terms of land mass.
Yes, are they using the old land mass?
Exactly, that is a major question.
Number one.
Absolutely.
Number two, the ones they are doing, the governor is trying. If personally I'm to say something in the north central of Nigeria, not to talk of Nigeria, I say, Niger State is leading in the aspect of supporting and making agribusiness to come to reality. For them, they have a ministry and they have a company, a going concern that is their own responsibility.
Focus on
agriculture. And not even agriculture, agribusiness. They do lease out their land and they have agreement with the people that will come and do the farming on their land that we are ready to offtake. But the truth remains that majority of what they produce in Niger State have been sponsored by an agro scheme, which at the end of the day, they take it to another part of the state.
Yeah. I know quite a whole lot of states bordering Niger State are benefiting from what is going on in Niger State. A lot of people are saying that the Niger State model is now like an example for other states to learn from. It's still like Kogi, still like Kwara, state like FCT and Kaduna State, who share common boundary with Niger State, are indeed benefiting from what is happening in Niger State. Do you think if Niger should produce for Niger State alone, we'll have this kind of inflation rate?
It's not possible for Niger to produce for Niger State alone. But we should look at it.
It could become a government policy.
Well, it can be, but it will cause a lot of crisis. You know, they tried it about a year ago that don't take anything produced in Niger State to another state. I was a victim of that. I went there to buy paddy rice, and they seized my paddy rice until some authority came to bail us out. But what I'm looking at is, let's do a statistics. How many, for example, Niger State is the supplier of paddy to so many states in Nigeria. Let's face the reality. Majority of rice processors get their paddy from Niger. If they can't get it from Niger, they go to Niger. And that's why you find that Nigerian rice is so expensive because of lack of availability. Niger State is overwhelmed with buyers. And for them to meet up with the domestic consumption, they need to increase their productivity.
Increase productivity, absolutely. Which is where government comes in.
That's where the government comes in. And I believe...
And it does seem that the government realized the potential of the states and is investing so much in agriculture.
Sincerely speaking, I'm not from there, but I can say it. That state government is doing wonderfully well when it comes to agribusiness. Look at the livestock aspect of it. Look at the arable. Look at the way it makes the youth in that state see agric as a business. A leader lead by example.
Absolutely.
That's why he called himself farmer
governor.
Farmer governor. Somebody told me that if you call him Alhaji or doctor, if the farmer is not there, he will not even attend to you.
Indeed. And we hope that at the end of the day, he'll be able to achieve what he wants to achieve. This is his second year in office, and he's getting this commendation from a lot of you, especially people like you who are deep in agriculture. Let's look at Sokoto State as well. Sokoto is also another northern state that is up there 27.6% in terms of food inflation. Of course, they are known for producing cassava, plantain, yam, millet, cocoyam, rice, pumpkin, banana, and has quite a whole lot. These are very important crops that a state like Sokoto is indeed producing. But seeing them on this list, if you look at their population, they are not as much compared to other states in northern Nigeria.
The truth is they are producing raw materials for another company to buy. Do they have the processing company? Look at the cassava. The type of cassava they are planting is good for ethanol. Do they have ethanol processing plants? How many rice mill factories do we have there? Sokoto is basically good. Is very, very, I don't know why they did not put livestock there. A state where they kill over 10,000, over 2,000 cows per day. I watched a documentary on their livestock on their abattoir, which they are ready to concess out to private sectors.
No, probably the livestock there is a bit cheaper compared to other states. So that's why you're not seeing it on the list here.
But the food crop they are producing is not what they consume. They have their own food. How many farmers in Sokoto is producing the the traditional crops for their food? Instead of it, maybe they see it as it's not making profit. And for a wise farmer, a very wise agribusiness expert, should go there and be producing what they consume there.
Indeed.
But majority of what you called are source of raw materials to other companies outside the state.
Maybe probably producing them there. They also share border with Nigeria's Republic and Benin Republic.
And these
they can actually produce there and of
bring
course
it back to Nigeria
export it out of Nigeria and of course as raw materials and of course import the finished good.
Yes.
That is what you meant. Well, let's look at Cross River State, the second southern state here after Bayelsa State. They also experienced 14.5% increase in inflation in the month of May, which is huge. If you look at what they have now, 27.3% is a very huge number there as well. Let's look at the major crop produced in Cross River State. They are known for producing cassava as well, yam, plantain, maize, garden egg, pepper, banana, cocoyam, crops heavily traded in regional markets.
These crops are crops that can turn around the economy of the state if they have good hands that can read the A's, the prospect. They are into rice. You remember Cross River State was the first state that had rice seedlings production in Nigeria, whereby their governor there imported some machine where I was impressed, and I'm still begging God to give me that opportunity of having such a transplanters. What happened to it?
Maintenance, lack of maintenance.
Where is Abakaliki rice again? I think Abakaliki is from Cross River or which state?
Abakaliki is Ebonyi State.
Ebonyi, sorry.
We'll get there.
Okay. Where is the finished product of rice from Cross River? Where is the palm oil from Cross River?
A lot. A lot of questions begging for answer. Let's quickly look at the Federal Capital Territory, where we are 26.7% inflation number there. That is an increase of 4.5% from what we had in the month of April there, which was 22.2% there. Of course, FCT here, we are known for producing cassava, plantain, yam, millet, beans, rice, and of course, Irish potatoes. If you go to the hinterland like Kuje, so many other places there under FCT, they are known for this. But still, the inflation number is also not looking good.
Same thing applies. You know, FCT
is it because of the population of the FCT? The demand is high. The demand is more than the available
product. And the little that is there, what do you expect? And you know, FCT used to be a consuming state. Majority, somebody told me, I don't know how far that is true, that most of the beef they consume in FCT comes from Niger State, their neighboring state. And what do you expect? Logistics moving it from Suleja to FCT. That's a thing they need to look at. That how do we do this? And this, our population in FCT is growing alarming.
Astronomically.
Exactly.
Geometrically.
At, let me say, 1,000 to 1 person. Therefore, what are we doing about the issue of food production? Do we continue to rely on bringing food from neighboring states? How can we encourage our farmers? They have good land. We have good land. No, I am here now. We have good land in FCT. Look at Kuje, look at Gwagwalada, as if we are going to Abaji. What can we do? What can we do with that? The cassava they are processing along, after Gwagwalada, there is a cassava processing plant. I don't know if it's...
Some are saying that most of the lands in the FCT are being taken over by estate developers.
Well, I wouldn't say yes or no. But we know we cannot do farming in the metropolis. If we want to do agribusiness, we know we need to go outside the metropole. Therefore, the metropole, we will appeal to the government, to the Honorable Minister, that please, let's have a reserved area, no matter come rain, come shine. This area should be for farming.
Right.
And let's see the way they are developing the roads, opening up the road network, giving us the good amenities in the FCT. Let them look at how they can support to develop agribusiness.
All right. Still looking at our top 10, let's now go to number 8 is Ogun State. Ogun State has a food inflation rate of 26.54% in the month of May. Of course, it's a very huge one compared to where it were in April, where it was just around 23.4%. But if you look at where it is now, it's high. Ogun State is known for producing cassava, maize, rice, and of course quite a whole lot, but they say there's so much pressure from Lagos population and it's affecting Ogun State.
Ogun State happens to be the state feeding Lagos because Ogun share boundary with Lagos roundabout.
Absolutely.
Majority of residents working in Lagos stay in Ogun State, and the population is increasing just like Abuja. Another thing is what we are consuming now is what they produce during the dry season. Know that. And the reduction in productivity during the dry season will affect what they are consuming, and the little that they are bringing back to table will be expensive. That's another thing. If you are looking at this inflationary rate, comparing one month to another month, let's consider which season are we. I was somewhere yesterday, somebody was asking, hope this is not new yam, because I can't get new yam. This is old yam. Okay, how many of this old yam do we have? And the population of people consuming it is more than...
Even when it's available, the prices are very, very high. This is very huge one.
The implication of this inflation comes back to all year-round farming policy.
But it's part of the president plan for Nigeria to enjoy farming season, all year-round farming season. We are not taking advantage of our water bodies. What are we doing with irrigation? Nothing is being done in that regard. How much of investment has gone into that? You interface with the authorities.
Which authorities, please? You see,
you've met with commissioners of agriculture. You've met with ministers. What are they doing with regard to irrigation?
The truth of it is, they will not come from federal to help the state. The state can go to them to get approval for usage of some dams. And the state needs to consider the local government where the dams pass through. how can we make use of it? How can we turn it to a revenue generating center? The truth of the issue is most of the states in Nigeria do not see agri or agribusiness as a major way of IGR. They put little attention to it.
Perhaps it's because they're still handouts from Abuja.
That's one of it. But the handout from Abuja will one day reduce when the oil prices is affected.
Absolutely. You're correct about that. Let's look at Kogi State now, which is my own home state. Has a very strong food inflation numbers as well, 26.5%. If you compare to what it were there, it's about 25.2% in the month of April. We are seeing an increase of 4.7%, which is although not so much. But if you look at Kogi State, it's very strategic in terms of location. That is the most central state in Nigeria. The Kogi State share boundary with about 10 different states, to the north, to the west, to the south, and to the east as well. That is how strategic the state is well located. It also has a very strong landmass, if you ask me, over 29,000 square kilometers.
Advantage?
But are we taking advantage? That is the question I'm going to ask. Are we taking advantage?
The potential
is the state taking advantage of the location?
Not only location, the potentials. In Kogi State, they can do sesame seed. In Kogi State, they can do hibiscus. In Kogi State, they can do rice farming. We know Kogi for good rice. Are they taking advantage of all this? Yes, the issue of insecurity is what we are all talking about. I believe to every problem, there is always a solution. The day we are able to remove politics out of the issue of Nigeria insecurity,
the problem will be solved.
It will be half solved. We now go back to our grassroots. The mindset of our youth is another problem. There is no job. Okay, let me try this. Money will come out of this. Let me try this. Quick money will come out of this.
All right.
And that is why I said we need to come back to our local chiefs. How can they come in? From local chiefs to ward chief.
All right. There is a very important issue that you pointed out, the issue about our young people. This issue of getting rich syndrome is a major concern. Nobody is looking at agriculture. Nobody wants to take the pain. Nobody wants to take the pain of tilling the land, cultivate crops, and so many of that. Everybody is
we all want to get a white-collar job
to make millions there. Let's look at the Ebonyi State, which is the only southeastern state on this table. It shows that most of the states in the southeast are indeed relatively okay in terms of food sufficiency. Ebonyi State is number 10, 25.9%. Of course, if you look at where it were last month, talking about April, 24.3%. And of course, we're seeing an increase of 7.2% over what we had in the month of April. Given the strategic location of state like Ebonyi State, which is known for rice, you mentioned about Abakaliki rice earlier on, but it does seem that Abakaliki rice has has gone out of extinction. I've not heard about them for a very long time now. But they are known for producing rice, yam, beans, cassava, and of course, among other top 20 crops as well.
Let me pick something from this. They produce what? Cassava.
Absolutely.
What are they using their cassava for? What commercial level?
Are they developing the value chain?
The value chain is one.
What kind of partnership are they having?
Value addition companies do they have? They have the potential of producing cassava in abundance. If at all they are not making it a commercial thing. Another thing we are talking about is they have all these crops. Are they getting the expected output? On an hectare of cassava farm, you are expected to have minimum of 30 tons. How many farmers is getting 10 tons? This will affect the inflation. Because if we plant cassava now, the harvesting period will be during the dry season. Harvesting it locally, manually, farmers will lose a lot of output. That's where mechanization comes in. That's where government needs the issue of extension services. That's where government needs the issue of capacity building.
It is very key.
That is where government needs the use of mini irrigation. Irrigation is capital intensive, but with the type of crop we are doing, there are some crops now that you don't need water for. Which planting will commence in October, November.
But a lot of capacity building is indeed necessary so that farmers can know this, because a lot of them don't know what you're saying. But in the midst of all of this now, the problem and the high food inflation that we have identified in about 10 different states, top 10 states with that inflation numbers, we see states and the federal government launching a joint action to address this menace, let me call it that. How much of effort do you think they should put in? What kind of collaboration do you expect from the federal government and the state government? Because the federal government cannot do it without the state.
Yes. Number one thing is the issue of farm estate needs to be considered seriously. There should be a policy that will say that this area, no matter thing, should not be converted to either commercial or residential. It's for farming. You are developing your state, yes. Having more modernization in your state, yes. But you are pushing the farmers to inner forest. Who we want to risk to go there? Let's first identify the availability of land and the policy come for the next 100 or 50 years. This land should be for farming. And let's see how we can be developing it. Government have rights on some land in every state. State government have rights on some states, on their land.
But if you look at the Land Use Act, if you want to go through that, is a long route that we may have to go through. Under the Land Use Act, the states actually owns the land. They can actually lease it to the federal government.
Exactly. If it's not even the federal government that wants to come and farm on their land.
It's their own people.
It's their own people. Let the state now make a law at their own state assembly that this local government, you must make provision for 10,000 hectares. Wherever you want to get it in your state, go and talk to the landowners and give them compensation.
But some of them also disagree with you that, sometimes last year, the government said they have allocated about 500 hectares of land somewhere where different commodities were going to be cultivated. There will be a lot of us are asking, have you seen the land? Have you visited the location? What kind of crops do we have there? I should be asking you.
Well, I will ask the people that posted the information. Because, you see, implementation is our major problem. When government make policy on agri, they should have private sector or going concern entity that will implement it, not government themselves. Because a lot of bureaucratic activities will delay the implementation. It's an advice to so many state governments and even federal government to have an entity. Look at the way they change NNPC to the PSC. It's now a public going concern. They must make profits.
Even though they are not listed yet on AGS.
Yes, but they must make profits. Agri needs to go in that line too. You brought in 2,000 tractors. At what rate? Allegedly. And we are expecting more. This has been allocated to some states. What are the states doing with it? Who are the people benefiting from it? I spoke to somebody,
one of the leadership of Farmers Association, who told me that I only saw 300 tractors.
Maybe more are still coming. You know, it's not easy to bring 2,000 at a go.
At a go, yeah. Maybe that was batch A.
Batch A. And the best thing is to even encourage MF, if it is Mass Ferguson they are bringing, let them come.
I was told it was coming from Belarus.
Wherever, let them come and have assembling plants in Nigeria. It will create more jobs for our youth.
Do you have the infrastructure to do that?
Government at the federal level.
The power supply?
Government at that federal level. Is extremely
poor. Can you? Are we going to survive that?
You see, when we are looking at the issue of power supply, Nigeria is a blessed country. It's high time for us to use our natural resources to generate power by having our own alternative energy. For any industry that wants to sustain and stay be in business, we are talking about all these inflationary rates. You know how much it costs the processing plants to run their factory? On this present band A, if a company is paying almost 5 million naira every month on electricity, what do you think will happen?
That's a lot. Of course, and the cost will be transferred to the people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And most of them are not producing at optimal level because of lack of raw materials. Therefore, whatever the little they are using to sustain the factory to exist, we have abnormal margin on it. And that margin does not mean that the company even is breaking even.
All right. Let's look at the general inflation number now that we saw in the month of May, which came down a little bit to 22%, just a little above 22%. Do you think what we are experiencing is as a result of any policy change, or is because of some say some new crops are beginning to come into the market, so and that is forcing down prices of things to come down? That not that any strategic government policy is responsible.
Government have lifted ban on importation of some agricultural produce, and majority
which
of
local farmers are not really happy with.
And the introduction of that raw materials into the country makes the big guys, the market controllers, to have more, and they neglected the local ones. But what we need to do, because this is demand and supply, we need 1 million metric tons per month, but the local market can supply 100 million tons. The variation there is 900 million tons. How do we sort it out? In order for the country, my people not to go die of hunger, they introduce this. This should be a short-term approach.
But what about farmers who have invested so much? I mean, a lot of them that I've spoken to, they did say that they've spent so much of their resources to go into farming. They were hoping to reap, some profit. They have some margin of profits that they were hoping to reap. But by the time government opened the borders and so much resources started coming in, they discovered the price of things started going down gradually.
That is why we, the farmers, we need to talk to ourselves. That's what we call economic of production. Before you even go to the farm, before you even till your land, what is your cost of production? That's EOP. What is your expected yield per hectare? What is your profit margin? If your profit margin is 25% of your cost, you need to know your proposed selling price, and you make provision for contingency in case of inflation. You now compare that with what is going on in the international market. I know you may make provision for or do your economic of production in January. Sourcing for funding may be towards April. Inflation will have affected that your pricing system, your own cost. What is expected is that contingency you have done should be able to cater for it. And you know, in Nigeria, whatever goes up is difficult to come down. And majority of our people in the market are selling based on open market price. And don't be surprised, some of them are running at loss.
Absolutely.
Because the economic of scale, they are not benefiting from it. It's only the big market drivers that are benefiting from economic of scale, while the small older farmers or the small operators are forcing themselves to get shares of the market. It is when those big ones get out of the market, exhaust their product, that is when the smaller ones will now take advantage.
Don't you think government should have been the biggest off-taker?
People have been saying this. Why must government off-take products? This is personal opinion.
Why not?
Government will off-take my paddy rice. And what will government do? Sell or subsidize and sell to who?
Absolutely, by way of subsidy. That is where I was coming to.
Okay.
If government buys so much for you, so that instead of you to run at a loss, government take that burden away from you, and of course, take this commodities to the market at a discount rate for the people.
Well, you have a point there. That is why the issue of farm aggregation and farm estate needs to come to be. If government wants to be off-taking, it should be based on farm village collectively.
All right.
In Zone A, for example, in Kwara State, we have 16 local governments.
All right.
Declared in one local government, we have Kwara North, Kwara South, and Kwara Central. Let's take, for example, we take comparative advantage.
All right, doctor. We have to go quite a whole lot. I'm sure that we have analyzed on this show today, from the food inflation down to the action plan of the federal government and indeed the state. Thank you so much for your contribution, Dr. Ajisefinni Ayodeji, Agribusiness Expert, Chairman, Enterprise Growing Institute. Thank you for your time.
It's my pleasure.
I appreciate your contributions. So on that note, we wrap up the show for today. We'll be back again tomorrow. I am Yusuf Akogun.